Hi, this is Karen and welcome to another card making tutorial from dolallycrafts. This is the card we're making today and I love it. I was actually inspired by one of the new die sets that has come out, one of the new bundles that's come out in our August December catalogue. I don't have my catalogue with me at the moment, so I'll put a link to the Stampin' Die bundle so that you can have a look at where I got my inspiration from. Now, my squares were using the Layering Squares die set, and here they are. I had to very carefully line them up on my grid mat so that they were 1/4 inch apart, both vertically and horizontally, so that I got that shape, and I really like it. Now I'm going to try 2 different ways with the flower stamp today. I've got it here. Now I've already stamped it using the, using Basic Grey and Versamark. Now, if you don't know the Versamark, the Versamark colour hack, it's very easy. This is Basic Grey. I can't tell whether you can see that it's been embossed. Now, normally our embossing, our ink dries too quickly to emboss. However, if you use Versamark on the stamp first, you stamp the Versamark on, and before you stamp the stamp, you then put the ink on that you want to, the coloured ink that you want to use. When you invert the stamp and then take the stamp off, the Versamark's going to be sitting on top of the colour. So if you work quickly, you can use the clear embossing powder on top of the Versamark, and that will give you a beautiful embossed image in whatever colour you want. However, having said that, if you want to emboss in black and you have Stampin' Up's Basic Black, which was discontinued last year, I think, they only had it out for a year or two, it didn't dry quick enough, so they took it off the market. I don't know whether they're going to reissue it later when they've fixed the formula or what. But if you have the Basic Black ink at home, which is the archival Stampin' pad, because it doesn't dry quickly, you can use your clear embossing powder with this and it will give you the same results. And you don't need to use the Versamark. All you need is your Basic Black, your stamp and your clear embossing powder, and you're good to go. Okay, that's my hack for embossing. But as I said, I've already embossed that and done it with the Basic Grey and embossed it. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the Memento, which is what I did with this one. And it was only after I stamped with the Basic Grey and the Versamark that I remembered you can't actually colour over that with your Stampin' blends, because it will ruin the stamping blend. The Stampin' blend will actually dissolve the embossing powder, from what I understand, and it will make a mess of your tips and it will ruin your image. So then I thought, well, I'm going to have to restamp it with the Memento so that I can colour over it with my Stampin' blends. However, for today, I'm going to stick. That is what it turns out like using the light and dark petal pink Stampin' blends. Sorry, I've got some light streaming in at the moment. So that is how that would turn out. I'm going to try it today with the powder pink and, whoops, and my watercolour brush. Move that out the way for a moment because we're not going to be working on that yet. I want to see how this goes. Now, because the embossing powder has given a barrier, you could actually just drop water into each petal and then drop a little bit of the colour in and let it go whichever way it wants to go. But for me, I just want to get the colour down. So we'll keep going with this. Watercolour's watercolour anyway, regardless of whichever way you do it. You will get light areas, you will get dark areas. And if I want to make the centre a lot darker, I just need to keep putting more colour in just that area. Okay, so brush that off. Get all the ink out of the end of the watercolour brush. Pop that ink away. Give this a waft. Okay, I'm just going to put it on the dry setting because I don't want to re-melt the ink, the embossing. There we go. Okay, now, silly me when I ordered this stamp set thought, oh, I'm just going to be stamping straight onto paper. I'm never going to need the dies. I'm not going to be using them as a die cut, so I didn't order the dies in the bundle. So I'm going to very roughly fussy cut this. I didn't do too bad a job, I don't think. Now, we need a card base and we need a layer of the white cardstock. There's the card base. Now, the layering piece of cardstock is going to be 1/4 inch shorter on length and width. So we're going to cut this at 3 7/8 wide and at 5 1/2 in length. And there's our layering piece of cardstock. Now what we need to do is put the squares, cut out the squares. So here's our layering piece and our squares. And what I'm going to do is do an equal distance border on both sides. So just stick that down like so and bring in the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss. Pop that down. All you need is the two bases, the two white bases, which are plates 1 and 2, and then both of the number 3 plates. Send that through. This just folds up so easily to put away and store. And the same with the plates. Okay, don't throw these little pieces away because you can use them, and I might use them in the next card to show that you can use them. I'd hate throwing scraps away that I know can be used for other things. Okay, so there's our layering piece, and as you can see, it'll look really good there. Now, I have the small pieces of cardstock that will go underneath. Now, on this card, you can see I used the pink colour behind, a pattern, and then a geometric pattern behind it. This time I'm going to use the sketch colours, and this shows off the 2 greys that are used in this set, which is I think it's basic grey, could even be smoky slate, but it's also using the grey granite as well. I've not been a fan of the grey granite, but having said that, I think it looks nice on this card. So what you need to do is find the plate where you're going to need to place these pieces of paper. The easiest way to do it is line up your layering piece where you want to have it. Then come in with a pencil and just mark the corner of each of the squares, just very lightly. Just so that you know where those corners are. Now, I don't know whether you can see that. Try and get it to focus. You can see a dot there and a dot there underneath the shadow of my finger. But yeah, that's all I've done is put dots there. Then come in with your papers and your snail or your new Stampin seal. Oops. And then make sure you've got the papers, the patterns oriented the right way up, and you can just pop them in. I'm just being a bit anal about having them up the right way. You don't have to, but I'm a bit OCD about stuff like that. It messes with me when things aren't up the right way. Okay, and with this one it doesn't really matter, it's all different ways. So we just pop those down like so. Then come in with your dimensionals, and then you're just going to slather the back with dimensionals. You need support around these squares and down the side. Ooh. Now, normally I wouldn't worry about the inside dimensionals and taking the backing off, but I am going to take them off every couple of them so that the card doesn't bow outwards from the base of the card. I want this to stay not too high and not too low. I hope that makes sense. I know what I mean. Okay, I'm just going to take this piece off. Oh, not having any nails does not help. Okay, turn it round the right way. I'd hate to stick it on upside down. And what I'm going to do is just find the... Oh, what's going on there? Come off, come off. For some reason, this is not sitting in the right spot. More glue on. Thankfully, this is going to be hidden. Hopefully that's in the right spot now. Just get rid of that. and the one that has now, I don't know whether my glue eraser is going to get this all off, but we will give it a go. Oh, well, look at that. It did. Well, got most of it off. Okay, dimensional back on there. Take the backing off, and hopefully this time it's going to be in the right spot. No, it's still too high. I see what I've done. Take that off. Yes, I've put these two pieces in the wrong spot. The larger one goes on the bottom. There, and the smaller one goes on the top. Now this should sit properly. Yes, amazing what happens when you have them on right. Ooh, let's move that up a little bit. Okay. There we go. So now they're in the right spots. It's not really that hard to put together. I just make it seem that way. Okay, in with our floral piece. And what I'm going to do is put a couple of dimensionals just here. And we need two because it's got to support the bottom of the flower. Actually leave that on for a moment. So we've got that piece and we need another one over here. Do use a lot of dimensionals in this card. Didn't realise that when I was putting it together. Okay, peel these off. And then bring our floral piece in and just lay that on top of the dimensionals. Now, bring in the stamp, and I should have stamped this before. It says, "Your sweet friendship refreshes the soul." And in with the basic grey. And hope it comes out. No, it didn't, but that's okay. We're going to come in with a piece of white cardstock and we will make it, what size is the stamp? So if I make it 2 by 2 1/4 by 1 1/4. And I've just ruined my good card. That's why you should cover your ink up. See what I've done? Cover your ink up as soon as you've used it. Okay, 1. That looks okay there. What I might do is bring in the basic grey again, just so it doesn't look a bit odd sitting there. Darken the edges. Let it dry for a moment. Make sure it's got the same distance as the other, as these other squares, and it won't look as weird. But when you make it, please remember to stamp before you actually pop it up. Okay, we're going to come in with the I can't remember what they are. They're not the shiny, not the clear ones, but the murky ones, for want of a better word. And we're just going to pop these around. So, one there. And just one there. Now, on the other one, I did add 5, but I'm waiting on a delivery of new ones because I didn't have any of the little ones left. I don't normally do my triangles so weirdly, but there we go. Oh, I'm really annoyed about that. And I don't even have a sand eraser to get rid of it. Oh well, there we go. There's the 2 cards. I will have photos on the blog. And I hope you liked today's and you'll give it a go. The watercolour didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped, but the Stampin' blends actually turn out really nice. But I do like the backing of this. Now inside the card we have love and thanks to a dear friend and a small stamp of the flowers there. So I'm going to pop that in as well. Hope for the best. There we go. And just the small one. And what I will do is stamp that off on a bit of scrap. And then again. And I stamped it upside down. Well, we'll do it again. There we go. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Cover my ink again before I drop this card in it. And I hope you like today's card. As I said, I'm really annoyed about that. Never mind. Okay, until next time. Bye bye.